Money Magic: Clearing Your Path to Money, Time, and Happiness. Written and read by Michelle Masters.
Big disclaimer. This work is solely for personal growth, inspiration, and entertainment. It is not psychotherapy or counseling, and in no way should be treated as a substitute for licensed professional assistance. Using the change patterns or information in this book is the choice of the reader, who assumes full responsibility for his or her understandings, experiences, and results. The author and publisher assume no responsibility for the actions or choices of any reader. Always a good policy in life. Yay, free will. Please join us at one of our workshops, either live or online. To find out about our workshops, go to www.michellemastersnlp.com.
Dedication. For Denny. Introduction. Have fun storming the castle. Miracle Max from The Princess Bride. In my early 20s, I was living in New York on almost no money. My room had been the laundry room of an old Brooklyn apartment. It was so narrow that I had to roll up my small futon every morning because it occupied almost the entire room. I can manage a fairly Spartan existence, but eventually, when I had to keep turning down invitations to go out or do anything that cost money, it finally got to me. A friend from my softball team called and asked if I wanted to go out to dinner. Going out to dinner meant that I would have no money left for food for the rest of the week, and I am very much in favor of eating. But I was fed up with living that way. So after an intense inner battle, I said yes. When the subject of ordering dessert came up, the fear rose again, but I thought, no, I'm not going to live my life in fear of not having enough money. Dessert was on. As we finished dessert, the world's tiniest cockroach, and I do mean tiny, a ladybug would be considered serious muscle in comparison, ran across our table. My friend panicked and frantically swatted at the table. She had no better hand-eye coordination when it came to cockroach swatting than she did at softball, though, so all she was doing was making the silverware fly. I wasn't worried because A, it was New York and all the buildings have cockroaches, and B, unlike some New York cockroaches, I was pretty sure I could take this one in a fight. But my friend was making a scene, so I reached over and gently took care of it with my napkin. Then I looked for a trash can to put it in, but because this was actually a restaurant and not a fast food joint, there weren't trash cans all around. A waitress saw me looking around and asked if I needed help, so I told her what had happened, and she offered to take the napkin and presumably give the cockroach a decent burial. As you can probably guess, when we asked for the bill, the waitress told us it was on the house because of our deceased little friend. It may seem like a small thing, but I will never forget the feeling that when you make a decision about how you want to live your life, the universe will move with you. It has stayed with me all these years. I've had bigger and flashier examples of that since then, but maybe none as important. Because that event in New York, when I stood in my laundry bedroom and decided to say yes to an invitation, was the first time I took control over how I wanted to create my life. I had to learn that lesson a few more times, but most importantly, I had to learn the tools that would allow me to change the patterns that were in the way. Changing your patterns is what this book is for. It contains stories, insights, and some of the exercises from my Money Magic workshop that will help you to change the patterns that are in your way. Unless you change the patterns that are in your way, almost all of which are subconscious, you will always be fighting yourself and the world. Once your patterns change, however, the wind is at your back and the world is at your feet. Things move more easily. Opportunities show up. Chance meetings with just the right people start happening. Life gets easier and richer in every sense. How to use this book. The insights and stories in this book communicate to different parts of your brain.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?